occupied Tate's mind as he opened the door to his one-bedroom, ground-floor apartment on tree-lined North Carolina Avenue Northeast and stepped inside. He hadn't been home in months, not since the summer, and he had to concede that he hadn't much missed the place. He'd made it a loner's paradise, sparsely decorated with off-white walls and hardwood floors, and no room for guests to sleep over. Not that that had been a problem. The doormat was tellingly covered with junk mail. He kicked his way through all 3 months' worth, knowing he'd have to sort through it all at some point just in case there was anything important. There rarely was. He set his briefcase and suit carrier down, thinking it made the decision of where to live with Jean once they were married all the more straightforward. He'd happily live wherever she wanted to, and in any kind of home she wanted them to make for themselves. But that was all for some other day. As was the research he'd been conducting into his own family history since discovering the names of his biological parents. All his plans had come to a shuddering halt when Special Agent Reese had called. He remembered exactly what he'd been doing at the time. He was with Jean at her apartment in London, partway through helping to clear the table after the romantic meal they had shared. He even remembered the smoochy love song that had been playing on the stereo, courtesy of Luther Vandross.
"Mr. Jefferson Tayte?"
Reese had said, when Jean came in from the kitchen and handed him his phone. "Yes, I'm Tayte. Who's this?"
"My name's Jordan Reese. I'm with the FBI.
"The FBI? How can I help you?" The music stopped playing at that point, and suddenly Jean was holding his arm, listening in. Her concerned expression matched his own.
"I'm sorry to disturb you, but I need to ask you a few questions."
"What's this about?"
"I'll get to that. First, can you tell me if you've been in England long?"
"How do you know where I am?"
"Your cell phone. Have you been there long?"
"A few months."
"Can anyone confirm that?"
Tayte didn't like where this conversation was heading.
"Yes, my fiancée. She's right here beside me. Do you want to ask her?" "No, that's okay for now."
"For now?"
"Look, you going to tell me what this is about or not?" "Mr. Tayte, I'm in charge of a murder investigation that concerns you. That's as much as I can say for now. We'd appreciate it if you could come in and talk to us."
"In D.C.? Tayte couldn't quite believe it.
"Yes, in D.C. I can get you on a flight tomorrow."
Tayte paused, looking into Jean's eyes before he spoke again. He was supposed to be going to Scotland with her for the week-long Scottish monarchy seminar she was attending. They had a double room booked. He'd planned to spend the evenings with her. How could he do that now? If he didn't go back to D.C. to help the FBI with their inquiries, it would only serve to implicate him in whatever was going on. He also wanted to know why the FBI thought this concerned him. "Let me have the details," he said, sighing as he spoke. He could already see the disappointment in Jean's eyes. He felt the same way. When the call ended, Tayte kissed her and went over to the CD player. "At least we have tonight," he said as he pressed the play button. Then, as Luther Vandross's silky tones filled the air, he embraced her and they danced in slow circles, 2 bodies entwined as one. "You will be careful, won't you?" Jean whispered in his ear. "You know me," Tayte said with a smile. "That's what I'm afraid of." Tayte kissed her again. "Don't be afraid. I'll be just fine. I'll call you as soon as I land." That was only yesterday, but he missed her already. It was just after 6 in the evening and night had begun to fall on the streets of D.C. Tayte hung up his jacket, switched on the light and the heating thermostat, and made straight for the coffee machine, still ruminating over everything he'd seen and heard that day. Much as he loved to think of Jean and the times they spent together, right now he had other people to focus on, and there were lives at stake. His former clients' lives, for whom he felt an overwhelming sense of responsibility. There was a small, flat-panelled television on the kitchen counter, the only set he owned, used just for the news channels. He stared at the blank screen, lost in his thoughts. Who's doing this? It was someone he knew, or at least someone who knew him, but who? How does he know who my past clients are? That had Tayte stumped. What do these pieces of genealogical wheel chart mean? What message is the killer trying to send? The charts he'd seen were not his own. They had been crudely drawn, and they were far from complete.